penultimate video. We're going to talk this time about how cock decides that something terminates. So we've seen one definition of plus already, where it looked at n. Its first. Here's a copy of it. It looked at n, its first argument, and every time it made a recursive call, n got smaller. Cock demands that every function in the language terminate, which means that cock has to be able to determine something decreasing every time. So whenever you define something recursively using a fixed point, you'll get some comment like this from cock saying, oh, blah, blah, blah is recursively defined, and then it'll tell you why it was okay to accept the recursive definition. You might wonder, like, why? Well, what goes wrong? Well, if you wrote a program which didn't terminate, then cock's proof part wouldn't work correctly. So it's really important that everything terminates. Let's see what happens when we write a bad function. So here's one called down. Right, so down just immediately calls itself on the predecessor of n. And it says, oh, the horrific error message, not just because my dark mode colors are not so hot. Recursive definition of down is ill-formed. So you'll notice the little frontier here didn't advance. Our program was rejected. And it said, okay, well, what happened? Recursive call to down has principal argument, that's the one that it thinks is decreasing, equal to pred n, instead of a subterm of n. So it's looking for something that's literally a subterm of n. So if we did this, we'll get a similar complaint, equal to n. What if we do n plus 1? Right? Now, in this case, it's actually kind of fair. This function would never terminate, because if you gave it 0, it would still keep running, right? It would never stop running. So cock is actually really right to reject this function. You have a small assignment here. Oh, not in my version of the code, but let's open up your version of the code. So it's going to be, right. So in your version of the code, you have a small exercise here where we want you to come up with a definition that really does terminate on all inputs, but that cock rejects. So it's a sad story that this is possible, but it is. And we'd like you to write such a program. So you might have to think about it a bit. The thing that I'd have you notice is the way that cock determines something is a substructure is by using matches. That's the hint that I'll give for now. Give yourself a solid 20-30 minutes thinking about it, playing with it, and then maybe take it to Zulip. One other hint. Try re-implementing a function that we already have, but in a way that cock can't see that it terminates. Okay, I just wanted to walk through this exercise to make sure that it sort of made sense. I imagine we'll probably talk about it in class on Wednesday. And that's it. Very short video. One more coming at you, then we're done with day 2.